I'd like to welcome you all. Yeah, this is the women's panel discussion. I'm the moderator, Ann Harris. I've never moderated anything in my life. So when I was approached to do this, I was like, wow, I don't know what to do. And they were like, just be you, just do your thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. So thank you. So I've got notes and I've got things written down, but this is really just gonna kind of be hopefully a conversation that will open us all up to another side of these beautiful, talented women that you know already. So here we go. Hello and welcome to the Women in Music panel discussion. I am beyond excited to facilitate this conversation with these truly gifted, inspiring, powerful, beautiful, and visionary women, each of you. I've had the extreme privilege and honor through the years of not only being a super fangirl in the audience as these remarkable artists melt faces and break hearts, but I have also had the extreme privilege of sharing the stage with almost all of them, with the exception of Ray Gordon at the end, and I hope that's going to change someday soon. In addition, I am truly grateful to say that these are all my friends and part of my extended sisterhood. I love and admire them not just for what they do, but for who they are. And their hearts and their personalities are as big and formidable as their talent. And I must say that as a woman in a predominantly male field of business, there is absolutely a kinship that I feel when I encounter other women doing what we do, whether I know them or not, because I know we are all connected through the same sorts of storylines. We all experience life through the lens of not being in the majority in our workspace. And to be clear, I absolutely share a kinship with my brothers in arms who are musicians and artists, because in the bigger picture, to be a touring musician is a very special kind of cray. Those of us who are working as artists are definitely in the minority in our culture at large as a whole. So these bonds of commiseration are real and they are binding. But to be in a minority within a minority is a very specific kind of experience. And today you are in for such a special treat because we're going to get real. We're going to lean into the stories of these amazing women who have carved out not just exceptional careers through their extraordinary talent, but exceptional lives through their extraordinary gifts. And we're here to talk about how these fascinating people have journeyed, how they've come to be who they are and where they see themselves heading. And along the way, I promise you, you will be expanded by their stories and inspired by their spirits and blessed by their presence. I don't know exactly where this conversation is going to lead, and I really, frankly, don't care. I just have some anchoring questions prepared, but I also really just want to feel like this is a kind of a hang, and that's one of the reasons I got slippers for people, you know? I just wanted them to feel comfortable. And I want us to have a place, a safe place to exchange our ideas, experiences, laughters, tears if they want to join the party, respect, admiration, love, all of that. And what I want for you in the audience to do is to sit back and take in the wisdom, the glory, and the uniqueness of these very special people. This is a once-in-a-lifetime, one-of-a-kind opportunity. And like this whole incredible festival is, we'll never all be gathered here together in this particular way again. So thank you all for being present and accounted for, and thank you for being led to this room. Let's get to it, and if there's time at the end, I may take a little time out for questions from the audience, but I do know we have a couple of people that have performances, and so we're going to have to end. Did we say we have to end this at 3:30? So if I could get like a 3:20 from you, maybe, up there? Could you let me know when it's 3:20 so I can keep track of time and keep us on? Thank you. All right, so The fact that you're here means that I already know that you're fans of these women, as I am, and you want a more personal glimpse into who they are and what makes their unicorn horn shine so brightly. So if you just stumbled into this room as a blues newbie, I'm going to do formal introductions via bios, and I'll start with myself. My name is Ann Harris. I'm a Chicago-based fiddle player and songwriter, and I've been deeply honored to be a part of the Big Blues Bender extended family for quite a while now, having played several of these incredible events through the years. I came into the blues world in 2008 when I joined the Otis Taylor Band, touring nationally and internationally and making records with him for close to 10 years. During that time, and since then, I performed, toured, and recorded with a myriad of diverse artists from Guy Davis, Anders Osborne, J.P. Soares, Kathy Richardson, Marcus James, Jason Ricci, Viu Farcatore, Los Lobos, Jefferson Starship, to name a few. And as I've mentioned, I've shared the stage with Annika, Terrie, and Thornetta, and we unfortunately don't have Kat Riggins here with us today. She was on this schedule, so if you're looking for Kat, she had a schedule conflict and is very sad to not be here, and we're sad that we're going to miss her. Ray Gordon, I have not shared the stage with you, I mentioned that already, but I'm a fan of yours. I scored and starred in the award-winning indie short film The Musician by Mark Schimmel, and I'm currently embarking on a historical violin commission with the first black woman luthier, violin maker on record in the United States. Her name is, thank you, her name is Amanda Ewing. And this is the first time in recorded U.S. history that a professional violin commission has been made between two black women, luthier and violinist. So I'm very proud of that. So follow that story on my website if you care to, but I want to get down to the people that we came to chat about. I'm going to start with reading Annika Chambers' bio. Houston, Texas native Annika Chambers. Like most great American singers, began singing as a child in the Southern Baptist Church. Through gospel music, though gospel music is her mother tongue, it is in the blues that she found her true voice. And what a voice it is. She is the 2022 Blues Music Award winner for Soul Blues Female Artist of the Year. After winning her first Blues Music Award for Soul Blues Female Artist of the Year in 2019, she gave us her third release entitled Kiss My Sass on Biztone label group. It debuted at number 4 on the Billboard Blues chart and won the 2020 Living Blues Award for Best Southern Soul Album. Annika performs regularly at top blues festivals across North and South America as well as Europe. Everyone give her a warm round of applause. Hey y'all. I'm out of order here. Terrie Odabi is next. Terrie Odabi is a 6-time Blues Music Award nominee. Give it up. It has been proclaimed that she is nothing short of West Coast blues royalty. Lee Hildebrand from the San Francisco Chronicle wrote that she is easily one of the most dynamic blues and soul women to have emerged in the Bay Area since Etta James came out of San Francisco's Fenimore District in the 50s. Only a singer with Odabi's combination of power and finesse could hold her own amid those kinds of comparisons. And what sets Odabi apart from so many other of her peers are the different shades of hurt, longing, bliss, and depth she brings to the music. The distinguishable character of her voice rings out with a rousing revival of faith and reverence that has a drenching rejuvenation and sacred complexity. Her abundant soul and improvisational prowess has made her a crucial contributor to today's music blues scene. Warmly embraced by blues fan and peers alike, Terrie Odabi is one of the most respected talents in the blues genre. Please give it up for this Terrie. I didn't write that, honestly. Absolutely, California love. Next is Thornetta Davis. I was out of order still. I love you, Thornetta. I'm so glad the slippers fit. They look so tight on you. Yeah.
I got big feet.
The official Detroit's Queen of the Blues, Thornetta Davis' latest CD, Honest Woman, which she wrote and produced, has won over 30 Detroit Music Awards, including 8 DMAs in 2017. Nominated? That was, oh, I thought it was you won them. There were nominations. Yeah. Thornetta is an 8-time National Blues Music Awards nominee, including 2 for the 2022 BMAs for Best Contemporary Female Blues and Best Instrumentalist/Vocals. Thornetta also received a French 2017 La Académie du Jazz Award for Best Blues Album. Thornetta's live performances will leave you feeling uplifted and asking for more. Supported by some of the best musicians, all hailing from Detroit, Michigan. New York Music Daily says, what better place than Lincoln Center for Thornetta Davis? In an era where blues has become a legacy style like bluegrass and roots reggae, and a lot of other bands play it like it's an artifact in a museum, Davis and her band are a blast of fresh air. That's from AXS Gary Schwind, who says, Thornetta Davis is a blues powerhouse. Downbeat magazine in 2018 Monterey Jazz Fest performance says Thornetta sang with no-nonsense sass, fearless in her missives against lovers as she preached the blues. Barry Kersner of American Blues Scene says of her latest CD, Honest Woman, it's everything an album should be. So please welcome Thornetta Davis. Yes, Ray Gordon. Hey, did you? And she's barefoot because someone's bringing her slippers.
Somebody's bringing my slippers.
Yeah. Ray Gordon started her singing career in the piano bars and opening up for comedians in the comedy clubs of LA. It was there that she was able to develop her ability to be intimate with an audience, whether it's in the corner of a small wine bar to a big festival of thousands. Her approachability and humor is as well known as her wide octave range. Her recordings have charted, including number 10 on Billboard with her debut, Blues Lemonade. She is currently working on 2 new albums, overachiever, to release early next year in blues and in gospel. She also likes to give back in service not only to her own city, but others.
Not ordered by the court.
I just want to make that clear.
She is honored to be on the National Women in Blues Board. Ray Gordon performances are not only a show, but a community gathering, as Ray follows that policy that a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. Ray Gordon, everybody. While we're waiting for the slippers, I'm going to go ahead with the questions. I want to start out kind of with some questions about your pasts, because they are informing where you are now, and I want to know what some of your earliest musical memories are. Annika, do you have some early memories, either of you performing or hearing other people? Like, what are the earliest ones?
Well, definitely my earliest memories were, growing up in the church and hearing all the old singers, the old female singers, and I always felt like that's what I want to sound like, when I'm on stage. And so I would go home after church all the time and practice. I was like, I want to be like one of the ladies was Miss Barnes. She was like a tenor alto and just had this amazing range, and still in her 70s has this amazing range. And so now when I hear... Are you
still in touch with her? Like,
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. So now when she sees me, performing and stuff, she always says, I can hear some of me in you. Like, well, yeah, you were like one of my biggest influences. And so I do, the church is always in my voice, so
Yeah.
that's kind of my earliest
I
memories.
love that connection. How about you, Terrie? Earliest musical memories?
Earliest musical memories actually come from my mother, who is here. Her first
Yeah.
My father was in the Air Force, and so we lived abroad in Turkey. And my earliest musical memory is sitting on the floor while my mother's washing dishes or doing housework with my sisters and my brother kind of in a row singing. And my mom said that was the way that she just kept us occupied, because we couldn't watch TV. We didn't understand what they were saying or listen to the radio. And she knew where we all were when we were sitting lined up. And we would sing songs like Michael rowed a boat of shore, hallelujah, just, old folk songs and spirituals and things like that. And we were harmonizing when we didn't even know what harmony was, So that's my earliest memory, and I'm the one in the family that just never shut up. I just kept going.
I love that. I love that, and then we're so glad you never shut up. How about you, Thornetta?
Earliest music memory.
Yeah.
I was a little bitty girl, and I was in love with album covers of the Supremes. And my mother and my father would play records all the time, but I wanted to be one of the Supremes, Diana Ross. And just playing those records and looking at the album covers and seeing how glamorous they all looked, and the sparkles, I kind of picked that up. And then Michael Jackson, for Jackson 5, I was singing with my sisters, and I was Michael. I was always the lead singer, and I used to love singing all the time since I was a little girl.
Love that.
So when I was 9, my grandmother passed away. But in that time between I was born and when I was 9, there was enough memories for 3 lives. And it was because she was always listening, always letting me play the piano over and over again, the same thing over and over again. And I started writing songs on the piano, and she would always listen to me. And it goes to show you that it doesn't take a lot of time to make a big difference. And so I always carry her with me when I sing.
Beautiful. Either any of you play instruments or want to play an instrument besides Ray? You play piano a little bit, didn't you?
I always wanted to.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to have an amazing piano teacher, but I was a knucklehead and I wouldn't cut my nails. So he refused to work with me. I was in high school. I regret it to this day.
It's not too late. It's never too late.
During the pandemic, I was going to have Paul teach me how to play guitar.
Yeah, I saw some posts with you holding a guitar.
But me too, I wouldn't cut my nails off.
And that was a deal breaker for you.
He said,
My husband bought me one for Christmas. I don't know about that.
I know it sounds like there's kind of a through line in that women in your lives and in all of our lives, of course, were really early important influences of getting you going on your path that you're on right now. Were there men that were equally strong in that way, or do you feel like most of your seminal influences were women?
I think my father, who was I guess he purchased all the records, and I remember, he had his little man cave in the garage, and he would, since he knew I loved to sing, he made me listen to Sarah Vaughan, he made me listen to Ella Fitzgerald, and, he opened my horizons to the beautiful music that's out there. And my mom was big blues fan. They would go out together and hear B.B. King and Bobby Blue Bland and play the music and all. So that's my connection with the blues. With my
Yeah, I was curious about that, and I'm also curious, what formats did you listen to music on? Obviously, records, me too, because my dad had records, so vinyl was my first format, but radio too was important.
I listen to tape.
Tape, CD, and did CDs ever? Okay.
I'm the baby.
Yeah.
But now, I listen to a lot of vinyl now.
Do you?
Paul has a big collection.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. How about you, Ray?
Well, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about influences and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I've realized, I had influences were Bette Midler and Aretha Franklin, so you can call me Bette Franklin. But what I want to say is, as you go along, you learn so much more, and the people, there's influences every part of your life. So it's like you start with those people and there's your influences, but, as I've gotten older, I've had to, reboot myself a few times and use those influences, male and female, because I think it's good to have both.
I agree. That's such a good point. And we're works in progress. I'm always interested in those foundational people, though, which is. There's another thing I thought of that I'm curious. At what point did you always know that you were different, special, exceptional? I mean, was that something you were aware of, or is it something?
I definitely did.
I want to hear what.
I was the only one in my family that performed. Even as a child, I would sing to the radio, wake up the neighbors, and my sisters, who kind of tone deaf, they knew that I could sing. They would call me up, sing something,
Wow.
And so I was the only one. But making a living at it, it was something they didn't think I'd be able to do. But something in me was a fire that kept burning and saying, I want to do this for a living. Even when I didn't believe I could make it, But I always feel like God just led me that way until it happened,
Yeah. So you always felt it inside,
I always
and then
felt
it was
it.
reinforced from the outside, from the people
Yeah.
around
I
you.
didn't grow up singing in church.
Yeah.
People always assume that. I just sung no matter what. And when I got in high school, I realized I didn't have to audition for a choir, just join Girls Glee, because I was really nervous about auditioning. And the teacher went around the room one day, listening to all of us, and pointed at me and said, "You, I want to see you after class." I thought I did something wrong. He wanted to put me in the special choir, something that I've been dying to be in for the last 3 years, So yeah, from that point on, it's just talent shows, and
Annika, how about you? Did you always know you were special, that you're different, that you're just a different thing? You're cut from a different cloth.
Don't give me that look. Giving me the look. Yeah, I was always kind of different. I always talk a lot, and I wanted to be a singer or the next Oprah. And so, go figure. Oh, I have my little mic here that Terrie got me, so if you see me walking around with it, I'm going to interview you too, test me. But my grandmother always said that I talked a lot, and I always felt like I had something to say. And so she tells me now, what you're doing now, whether it was going to be singing or speaking or whatever, it
makes sense to her.
It all
She
makes
saw
sense.
it all along.
Also, I just wanted to say it's funny how growing up, you guys were unique and you were probably put down for it, right? And I've realized that when I was growing up, it was you're too loud, and then now it's you're loud. And all of a sudden, it's a good thing. So if your kids are being put down for something, it may be their passion, and may be their special gift to the world. So
I love that you made that point, Ray. Thank you. Because that was another thing, a question I had later on is about when you know that you are different and you can't fit in when that Cinderella slipper doesn't fit your foot, it can be very traumatizing as a young person, and I think it can be specifically traumatizing as a young woman, because the way that we're enculturated in the United States still, it's getting better, but I think there's a lot of pressure and demands put on what defines being a woman, and there's really strict parameters around that. Do you want to speak a little bit to that, Terrie?
I just want to say, a lot of musicians that you may know had a very difficult time, male and female, growing up. They were kind of the outside liars, the outcasts. I was an outcast. But when you're a musician, things kind of turn around. You become the cool person.
Yeah.
You know, you know, it's like now I get messages from classmates. You know, when I was in high school, where I was teased before. You know,
Yeah.
they all showed up to a big show I had in the Bay Area, and they were so Team Terrie before.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Facebook friend you.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of find your tribe, though.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I got it. More power. This is more mic power. This mic. Okay. Sorry, I was so quiet before. Yeah, I was similar. I was an odd one. I'm still an odd person. I'm an odd kid. I don't fit into the thing. Even the choice of instrument and genre that makes so much sense to me. People are like, you do what? That doesn't make sense. And then they hear you and they go, oh, that makes sense. Makes, you know, who you are. Do you have a thought on what your self-image was as, not as a musician and artist, but as a little girl growing into a woman? What was your, and maybe this is how, maybe some things that you're still working out, but when you were young, were you happy being a little girl? Were you frustrated? Were you tomboys? Were you, why does my brother get to do this and I don't get to do this? What was your sensibility of your femaleness or your identification as growing up into a woman when you were a girl?
Well, I know that I felt not listened to, and in the family dynamic, it was a lot of hardness and stuff. So I think I just found a way that I could be heard, and I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but when you feel like you can't be heard, you either be quiet for the rest of your life or you find a way to speak up, and that's in singing. So.
Annika?
Yeah, my mom had me at 14, so we basically had to grow up together. So navigating, you know, her navigating womanhood, and then trying to navigate bringing me and my sisters up, you know, in woman and to being a woman. So that was quite the journey. So I found solace in, I wrote a lot of poetry and would, you know, speak and write. I love writing speeches. And of course singing, so that kind of helped me just kind of develop, you know, who I wanted
And to
to
be
be
comfortable with that
and be comfortable
in your
with it,
skin.
yeah.
I always felt like, as a young girl, and I always felt like women had an expiration date in music, and I had, you know, bought into it that I would expire musically maybe 20, 25. But I didn't hold much hope because I didn't look like the people who I admired musically. When I was a young girl, a young woman, my hair was actually this short, and which was one of the reasons why I got teased a lot, and I didn't have the body type of a lot of women who were out there. Even though I really wanted to sing, I just didn't see how I would fit in. So, but then there's the blues. And I'm really, really proud to say that I'll be 60 this year, and musically I'm doing things that I thought I would never be able to do. So you know, I've been traveling in Europe and Brazil, and just been able to fulfill dreams that I never ever, because of what those barriers I thought existed, I never thought I would achieve.
I love that. And that's the whole philosophy of Diamond in the Rough. The thing that you fight against most, when you begin to embrace it, you find your power in that thing. And it's the story of why so many artists that you mentioned had childhoods that were awkward and challenging in many different ways, I think.
And I think sometimes we're just, as artists, propelled. You know, we're like moths to a flame. We just keep flying and going towards that flame in spite of getting burned or the booze, the the rejection. We just keep flying towards that, you know. So that's just what we do.
Absolutely. So you had something to say, Thornetta?
Actually,
Speak into this.
a lot of our stories mirror each other.
Yeah.
It's so strange when I met Terrie, and I feel like she's on the other side of the country, and we're living the same life.
Parallel
And
lives.
very parallel. And so when she tells her story, she basically is telling mine too. Growing up, I was very insecure, and I started to believe at a certain age, in my late 20s, that I'm almost done. The record label has signed me. Me and the girl group I was with, we thought we were going to be in Vogue, but then there was In Vogue. None of us was skinny like that. We could not. We could sing, but back then Chunky wasn't in. You know, Lizzo wasn't around. So hey, and like she said, then the blues found me. And I stumbled upon it, just going to see a jam session. And I tell you, these white boys was playing the hell out of that music. And they found out that I could sing, and I'm playing songs that I've been listening to as a child. And asked me to get up and just jam with them. And they said, hey, we need a singer, you want to join? It's my first paying gig. I mean, me and my girls, we just experience, you know. We might have made $50 a piece one time or something like that, but these guys were talking about a regular gig, and I never had that before. And so once I joined their band, I didn't even know my own music community, because I was very sheltered. We couldn't go outside, we couldn't go nowhere. But when I got out there and started going to see other bands, they started hearing about me, and then boom, now I'm some local talent. Had to get off welfare.
Wow.
Because I'm in the newspaper now.
Wow.
I went to the lady at the welfare office and told her I was working. She said, well, you're going to have to get off. And when the day they cut me off, I looked at my daughter. I said, baby, it's me and you now. Just don't fall. Don't break a leg. Don't do nothing. Because we don't got no insurance. Now
Wow,
here.
that is real. I love that. Do you recall some of the artists that that were those come to Jesus moments, those aha, that like you hear, you put on this record, or someone came out with a single, you heard something that really pivoted your whole way of thinking, that blew your mind? Like, what are some of those artists or albums? Ray?
Well, I'll also say that this example is something that taught me so much. When I'm started the blues and stuff, I'm just like out there, and I liken myself to like a Australian shepherd. Oh, people, right? So, and then I thought that if I didn't make sure that everybody knew I see you, that I wasn't doing right by you guys, right? And then that if I sing like this and like into myself, then I'm doing something wrong. I came to Vegas, I think it was when it was Sin City, or it was a blues bender, and Carolyn Wonderland, she sits down and she puts her thing, the thingy on her lap, and every one of us, audience, we disappeared while we were looking in her bedroom window. I mean, that's what it felt like. And I went, wait a minute, that was so incredible. And she wasn't just like doing the Australian doggy thing. And it taught me that I was so enthralled by her performance that we were looking into an intimate part of what she was doing, that it was okay to do that sometimes, because some people are voyeurs. So
Yeah, no, that's
you want to look in somebody's window.
and so that is also answering the question of a kind of an aha moment, a pivotal thing where something shifted for you. That was good, right?
I worked on it. Oh, thank you. Woo! Police are coming.
But yeah, so that was a shift. That's an artist, so you could say Carolyn, in a way, kind of blew your mind through in a very intimate, understated way that you never maybe would have envisioned for yourself. But I love that moment. Do you have some similar moments, either listening in your bedroom to the new Prince record, or or watching someone perform? Terrie, you have a musical aha moment, mind blowing.
Well, growing up, I always wanted to emulate Aretha Franklin or Patti LaBelle. So when I was learning to sing, I often would emulate their styles or try to emulate their styles. So. But I don't think there's a particular aha moment, because that's just how I grew up listening to them.
Yeah. Annika, anybody or come to mind, like recording or?
My grandparents raised me because my mom had me so young. So secular music was a no-no in the house. So my granny would always have me listening to old gospel music. So my first big influence would definitely be Mahalia Jackson. You know, the tone and timbre of her voice and the way she delivered a song, you know, was what I wanted to emulate. So
you've done well.
Definitely Mahalia Jackson.
You've done well.
And now Mavis, anything Mavis, I'm all over.
Well, my aha moment was when I answered my phone and it said, "Thornetta?" I said, "Yes." "This is Aretha." I just... I liked your commercials. I was wondering if you would like to sing with me background on such and such. Did you say this is Aretha Franklin? Yes, this is Aretha. I thought she was joking, but this was all true. And she wanted me to perform with her. It was a 9/11 tribute in Washington, D.C. So now I gotta go rehearse for her at her home. Yeah. So I got to go. She bought me and the other girls' dresses. I still have my dress.
I know you do.
I cannot fit it, but I still got it. I didn't get to perform because her brother had passed away that day, but I ended up in Washington, D.C. and watched the show and everything, but she didn't call me again. Her number changes every time because I couldn't call her back.
Yeah.
So she called me again. "Thornetta, I'm having a birthday party. Would you like to come?"
Oh.
So I got to be in the presence of the Queen.
Wow.
That's my aha moment.
Well, that's mine too now.
That's an ah ha ha ha.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's unbelievable. What are one of your superpowers, Ray? We'll start with you. Like a superpower. Well, let me do two of them. The first superpower is one you wish you had, like, you know, X-ray vision or something. But the second superpower is the one that you have.
It's not musical related, but if you look up Ray Gordon, the horse whisperer, you'll see me talking to horses and them freaking out. So I like to irritate farmers and stuff. So, but superpower. So the one I wish I had. God, that's so good. That's good. Do I get the job? Because I okay.
Get it right.
So, it's going to be the same thing. I care too much. I wish my superpower would be not to care so much. Because there is that superpower, but I don't think I want to be that person. But I think, you know, every time there's a chance to pick people I think then that's the way to go. I had somebody tell me that once. I walked into a place, to a venue early, and there was somebody sitting there that I know reading a book, and she had come there early to have like her own little time. And I started talking to her, blah, 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 like I do, chainsaw ring, blah, blah, blah. And I looked down and I said, oh, I'm so sorry you came here early, you're reading a book. She goes, she puts the book down, she goes, you know, a friend told me once, when you have a choice, choose people. And it was a life changer, you know, and it just, sometimes it's hard to care too much, and I feel like you guys all do. But I think not being somebody that cares and can feel, and I think that's a superpower, is to look at the audience and know who is having the worst day, and to really know that you are knowing everything that's going on, like who's on their first date, who's on their last date doesn't know it. So you know, we all know what's going on in the audience. And I feel like superpower is to see that person that's having a bad time and change it for them. Because that is so incredible that you are there for them.
Who wants to go next? Superpower.
I think we're all kind of agreeing with each other that is changing someone's disposition or making them forget about their problems. Someone, when we performed at the Heart performance the other day, I said, there's somebody out there who's not all right. And somebody ran up to me and said, that was me, I wasn't all right. And she began to tell me about how she had experienced some hardships, someone had died and this and that, and how she was able to just be in the moment and not think about those things. And that's, I think, I'm going to speak for all of us, all of our superpower, you know. Yeah. And I'm going to also say that it helps me as much as it helps all of you. You know, when we experience our hardships, being there and receiving the love that you guys give us, we're able to, forget, even if it's for a little while, what the hardships that we're having. So, yeah.
Well, we all go through it though.
We all go through it.
Especially when you write a song and they feel it. And they can relate to the lyrics that you put out. I really like that part about it.
Yeah. How do you know that? Those words. That's a song of mine.
Right, right. And that's, writing music.
Yeah.
You know, that when people I wrote a song, Gentrification Blues, sang it in Italy, the last thing I thought is that someone from Australia would be in Italy and that song really moved them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what I'm going through. So, yeah.
Nice. But you don't have I want to be able to fly or,
I want to be totally fearless.
like a fantasy. It's okay. That's good. Totally fearless.
I want to be fearless. I don't want stuff to creep in my mind and have me have doubt. Just go for it. Because especially if it's something good, that it's good. It's coming from a good place. But you can even be stifled by fear to do that. And sometimes I have to fight that fear.
Yes.
At this age.
We all do, I think. It's definitely, you're not alone in that. I don't know of anyone that reaches a point where that's not somewhat of a motivation, actually, and it can be used.
When you come out on the other side of it, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I did that.
Exactly. About the process of your work, are you guys disciplined? Do you have a method? How do you get inspired to do your stuff? Is it just a song idea comes to you, a little melody? 'Cause sometimes melody lines just come to me kind of through the...
I love cell phones for that reason. Because the recorders, I wrote just about every song on my Blue Soul CD. And I know one song, the melody popped in my head, the lyrics popped in my head. I was in the grocery store. I was bent over a cart singing in my car. Because I heard a guy, he was in the freezer section, and he was in Oakland, California. He's like, no, baby, no, I'm still in Georgia. What are you talking about? No, you know? And so I was like, I pulled my phone out, I leaned over, I bet you think I don't know that you've been sexting that girl. And it was just, the whole song came out.
Wow.
The whole song. Yeah.
Okay, we only have 10 more minutes. I have pages more of questions, and I'm just gonna whittle it down to some, you know, ones that I'm dying to hear
So,
about.
and I want to say you have to be careful with your musician significance others. Because be on your best behavior, because you'll have a song about you.
You'll end up in a song.
Because it's cheaper than counseling.
I want to know what the shutdown did to challenge and to expand you. And I know that's probably an hour-long answer, but just think, you know, it's been different answers for different musicians I've talked to, but oddly some of the same ones. Annika, you want to start speaking to that?
The challenge, you know, because as artists, we're like so used to being on the go, so used to just doing everything every day. And obviously the challenge was when everything stopped, we were like, oh, we gotta like sit and be still. How do we do this? But over time, we learned how to do that. What was the other question?
Just what was the gift that you found from the shutdown? What did you end up liking about it?
Now I'm just like, certain things just don't flow in my life anymore. Like I value my time, so I, you know, make my schedules accordingly, because I know that it's for me, it's important to prioritize, you know, yourself, your family, and then career. I think before the pandemic, it was career first, no matter what. And now just the priorities have changed.
Yeah.
On a professional level, as soon as something in me clicked when I heard the word lockdown, I ordered a Mac computer, and I said, I'm gonna need this. Didn't know why. I ended up writing a song, passing it around through the internet to the musicians. We recorded the song, and I created a music video on my Mac computer, and then also learned how to use GarageBand. So, but the most amazing thing happened is that I connected with so many artists and sister friends. Shakur Saida had a bright idea about let's check on, because it was pretty mortifying when our gigs just start falling off. And she said, let's check and let's have a Zoom call, see how everyone's doing. And so we called Annika and Ann and Thornetta and Ruthie and Schumaker and Patty from Tuck and Patty, just like the list goes on. And we began to meet every single week. And it was...
And Shakur Saida right there is the one who had this idea. And it was a simple but brilliant idea.
Right. And I would not know you to the extent that I know you.
I wouldn't know any of you to the extent that I know you.
If we had not have done that. So it was a gift. And I know there was a lot of pain and suffering that happened, but there were also some gifts, and that was a gift.
Just so we highlight Shakur a little more, it was a space for Black women to be and just be able to be ourselves. Because with everything, the pandemic and everything that was going on during the pandemic, it was a very
George Floyd
hard to find like a safe space.
Place.
So we love you, Shakur. Thank you.
Thank you. Thornetta, challenges, gifts that the pandemic brought you.
The challenge. Definitely being shut down and not being able to perform in front of the people and bring the music to them, because I actually had some really good things about to happen. The album had started doing really well, and I was going to do South by Southwest for the first time. And I started getting calls from different venues who heard I was going to be there. And I wanted to perform at Anton's, and there was going to be the Miles Davis house was giving their party there. So they called me and said, we want you to headline. And I'm like, whoa, this was major things as far as I'm concerned. And then when they said, we're shutting it down, South by Southwest is not happening. I was like, you lie, we going. We getting on that plane. My band members was like, Thornetta, you don't understand, you need to go online and check it out. And all we saw was cancellation, cancellation. It was so hard. And then I thought, well, what am I gonna do? Well, the blessing came when people, some of the festivals that I was booked at, actually said, well, all you gotta do is videotape a set of you and your band performing for an hour and we'll still pay you. Oh, really? I went and bought some backdrop and set it up in my garage. Put my cell phone, because I ain't have no cameras, positioned it just right. And we performed in front of that cell phone for an hour, and they paid us. So that was the blessing, you know. And then sometimes me and my husband James would just do a little half an hour sets, he on congas, and I got the track playing behind me, and they still paid me. So I was blessed to be able to do that.
That is a blessing, because you realize that there's a support for
There was a support.
through it all.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'll make it quick, but two things. So going on what she was saying, I had been hired to open up for Ruthie Foster, and I was so excited. Up in Timberline Lodge on the top of Mount Hood in Oregon. So those missed opportunities were painful. One thing that I thought was great is that people everywhere got to see people like you on live streams and stuff, and be able to really see what was out there, which was great. A couple things that I did that I'm glad I was able to get done, or that I wanted to say is with Lisa Mann and Ben Rice, big fans, I asked them to help me on a song that I was writing. I was trying to do another blues album, and the song wouldn't leave me alone. It's called It Will Not Last. And it's a song, it's available on YouTube, listen to it, and it's to help people who might be thinking about not living another day. And it's something where it's hard to have that conversation, and because I know that all the musicians and the audience members, there's this energy that you grow, and when you don't have that, you don't have it, you know? So one thing that we did that song for was to help people, to let people know that the musicians miss you guys and that we understand. And then I also wanted to point out that I believe in the gift of contrast. So the gift of contrast to me is that having no hugs, no music, and it's hard not to be so upset and depressed, which I did that song, but to really embrace how that feels so that when it's not that way, you can appreciate it and not take it for granted, like I feel like I have. I can be serious.
I love it. I'm gonna have to come to like my final couple questions here. I would like to know if you all have intentional and regular wellness practices that you do for yourself, and what that might be. It could be anything from like how you pamper yourself, how you nurture yourself, how you protect your energy and sustain it so that you can be available for this very outward life that you've chosen.
I think being in our sister girl group, we've all kind of learned from each other how to just manage stress, because it's hard to live in this country sometimes. So, you know, on the calls, we go through different things, like, you know, whether it's breathing exercises, or we were working out for a long time. The workouts really helped us we started the day working out, and then we can kind of tackle the rest of the day, no matter good or bad, whatever came. So just, I think the physical aspect is very important, but also those just moments where you just take some moments to just take some deep breaths and just kind of center yourself, and then you can kind of move on through, you know, each moment.
Mr. London.
Yes.
If you guys
type him in on YouTube right now, women.
Look him up, girls.
Just the women.
Yeah, we would put Mr. London on, and there may be 4 or 5 of us, and we'd get up every morning and exercise to Mr. London with me. He's very handsome. So,
Beyond.
little eye candy there. But
That's sweating. The sweating really, yeah. It's oil. Whatever gets the job done. Not.
So you were saying, Terry?
Sorry, Mom.
I don't know if this applies, but one, I lost about 40 pounds during the pandemic because I just started, I was eating a lot, but I was eating really good food, really healthy food. So I changed my way of eating. Not so much here in Las Vegas with that really good buffet. The bread pudding is really good. But then also just being selective, or not so much selective, but don't allow everyone into your personal space, meaning energy-wise. Like if it's someone who's negative, you don't feel obligated to be with that person or allow them to pull from you. That's something I learned later in life, you know, to be able to just say, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's a practice that I developed later.
Excellent, important. Thornetta, self-care, regular practice, the love you give yourself.
That's the hard part, being regular with it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of ways to do it, and I do it from time to time, but what's another superpower I wish I had? Consistency. Because when you're consistent with all the good things you know, good things will happen. So every time I focus on that, like today I got up and I stretched and I rolled around on the floor. Actually, felt kind of good. Elevated my legs up in the air for about a half an hour. I felt good. I said, well, I'm going to do that again tomorrow. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. I got 3 days, I'm going to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, I'll get consistent, especially if I'm hanging out with y'all.
Do you meditate?
Not often.
I fall asleep when I meditate.
Right. But I know it's good for you when you do. But I get distracted. You know.
Ray, you have any meditation or?
Well, a walk in the woods by water is always good. Dreaming about winning the lottery until you don't win it, and then that does adverse effect. But my number one way to relax is to listen to some good blues singers and their original stuff. That's my number one.
Well, I hate to wrap this up because I really literally do have like another 2 pages of questions that get really quirky and interesting. Follow, and when you get home from this amazing weekend, you just go through the program, look up the artists, and we're all very accessible. Easy
Send
to
us all
find.
messages.
Yeah. I like that. And I just want to, we literally are out of time now. I want to thank you all so much for being in the room, and I want to echo something that Thornetta spoke to. And it's really about the healing power of music and how it does bring us all together, how it has a magical way of working around the words and getting straight into the heart. Carry your love and passion for music everywhere you go. Share it with people. We're so grateful that you share it with us, that you would spend this weekend with us. It's such an honor for all of us to be here. So thank you for making that possible. And enjoy enjoy the rest of the band. Give it up for these beautiful women. Annika Chambers. Mike is, Ray Gordon. I bought you guys chocolates as well. Carrie Stowers bought chocolates, and I asked her to. And I brought you flowers, so please take these. Pass them down. To make your room bright. Pass them down.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
Absolutely.
And for the slippers, too.
Can you remind us all what gigs you have left here and when?
We'll be in here, me and Terry, at 5:30.
4:30 in the pool. I mean, at the pool.
5:30. Sunday at 2 o'clock.
It's a thought on my head.